3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mike.
I'm Nick. I wasn't ready, but let's
Got
do it.
you,
Yeah.
fool. You gotta be ready. It's top
I
10
haven't
time.
heard yet.
Well, that's just all on the mic. It's top 10 time, y'all.
It is
I'm
top 10.
not gonna pretend that's not what's going on.
This is what the top 10. Yeah, we're here. We're in it. I'm very excited because this is a top 10 we've wanted to do for a while, and we have it. And this is a genre of games that
It's divisive.
it's divisive, but it's something that's really taken our hearts by storm.
I love it. I think it's great. I know as soon as we announce it, or there's people who just didn't even click on the video because they saw it's top 10.
Most people know.
Rolling rights.
Rolling rights, indeed.
Yes.
Now, I want to do a little caveat right now that we're going to use the term rolling right as an umbrella term
Yes.
for all of these kinds of games. So there are rolling rights where you're rolling dice and then writing stuff out. There are flip and fills where sometimes you're flipping cards.
Thank you for saying it correctly, by the way.
Yes,
What
not-
is this flip and right crap?
Or draw and draw.
It's called branding.
Yeah.
Flip and fill.
Yeah.
Flip and fill. Game companies, I just made you millions of dollars. I'll take my 10%.
Yeah,
Flip and fill.
Not draw and draw, just flip and fill
Stupid.
or roll and write.
Oh, God.
But when we say roll and rights, we're talking about all those
these
games.
games
that are
where
based around cards where you're flipping something over
Some
and then
random
filling
element
stuff in.
appears, and then you have to make do with what you
Yes.
got. Yes.
This is a fad that's come in the hobby that we are big fans of. I credit Suzanne Sheldon and Z Garcia for this because they're
Yes.
the two who are really pushing it. Suzanne's like, I did not start this trend. I'm like,
She
yes, you did. You
absolutely
started
did.
this trend, and I love it, and thank you forever for that.
There were some rolling rights before, and then she talked about it, and then they just blew up.
Yeah, I love rolling rights.
All praise due to Suzanne Sheldon.
That's right, baby. So, rolling rights, again, flip and fills, anything. We're just going to use rolling rights as an umbrella term. Are games that I really like because three different reasons. One, they tend to be a little simpler, so they tend to be a little bit easy. They're
There's
pretty
a lot of them
easy
that are
to
fairly
teach to
light.
people.
Yeah.
Two, they a lot of times you can house a lot of people. You can play with them with
There are many that are not
sometimes
player limited.
Infinite people, yes.
Yeah.
And then also, they tend to be pretty cheap,
Yes.
which is nice, and that's a good combo for
What's
a lot
the
of
most
different things.
expensive rolling right do you think we've gotten?
Probably like
$30?
$30, yeah.
Maybe? Yeah, they're usually below 30, which is sweet. A lot of
pretty
them are
good.
like
It's pretty
20
good.
bucks. It's
Yeah.
a pretty good rolling right price.
And they're just fun. They're very mobile. You can bring them wherever
Yep.
you want. I love rolling rights. So does
versatile.
Mikey.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. So
They're
we're gonna get
good.
our top 10 rolling
Anyone who
rights.
doesn't like rolling rights needs to get over it.
They probably left already.
Yeah, they're
but
already gone. They're not here.
um,
Before we begin, I think we should do an honorable mention because there's a couple of games out there that are parading around as something other than rolling
They're
rights.
rolling rights,
But
Mike.
they're straight up rolling rights.
They're rolling rights.
Shouts out to Tiny Towns.
and Era.
Bam.
2 rolling rights. Here's the thing
Era
about
at least says it's a rolling bill. And they were like, yeah, you could just do it whatever.
the thing about Tiny Towns and Era is legitimately that they are very, 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 very highly produced rolling rights. And don't get me wrong, we love both those games.
Hell yeah.
Love both those games. But in Tiny Towns, you are flipping cards over, which will give you resources, and then you take cubes, put them on your board, and turn those cubes into buildings. You could literally do all of that with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
Same with Era. Era, you're rolling out dice, putting these big fancy buildings into like a pegboard, which could just be a grid of paper. And it's like, I love the fact that they made these games big and grandiose and highly produced because I love them, but ultimately, they're rolling rights.
Yeah. With Tiny Towns, I guess you can make a less of an argument for the roll and write thing because normally you'd play where people announce a type of thing, but it still is basically the same.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
You
And
can
with
still
those
do that
tweaks
with a
of doing
roll
the
and write.
town hall thing with the cards, which is the way I like to play anyway, and then just choosing this is the monument that everyone can have for the game, it infinitely becomes a player unlimited
We
roll
play
and write.
we play it live on Twitch all the time.
it works. It's great.
because we can play. Anyone at home can play along with us. It's very easy. Yeah.
Anyway,
so
so
those are
shouts out
honorable
to
mentions
those.
because they're rolling rights. They're not going to say they are, but
Just
they're
want to acknowledge
very
what
expensive
those games
rolling
are.
rights.
Let's all be honest with ourselves. And with that, we'll actually get into the proper list. And number 10.
Alrighty, so number 10 is a game that I think we both think is going to climb the list a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is a game called On Tour. I would assume it's a polka tour. On Tour is a game that we really like a lot, but we actually don't have. We've only played a couple times, but I really like it because it feels very, very different. So this is a game where you are
cool.
a band touring around the United States. So the map is a big dry erase board of the United States that everyone
Sweet,
gets.
that board.
It is very, very cool. This is actually made by BoardGameTables.com, who is, again,
right.
getting into the board game stuff with that and Bites, and I'm like, y'all are doing okay. But essentially, you're going to flip over 2 cards, and the 2 cards are going to have a number on it. It could be like 3 and 9, and you can either put in a 39 or a 93 into your map.
That'll relate to some city on your map.
Yeah, so it'll be like Wichita, 93 or whatever. And essentially on top of that, there will also be a region of the United States you have to put it in. So like the Southwest, the West, the South, all these different kinds of stuff, all these different areas that you have to put it. So you're forced to put these numbers, and you're essentially trying to create descending numbers.
Yeah.
Going like from 99 to 98, 97. And you're trying to create a cohesive tour.
Can you skip numbers? It just has to keep going down?
I believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
so basically,
you always have to go.
You have to kind of create these pathways with where you put your numbers.
Yeah.
So don't put.
So you're trying to keep one path going. So if it comes down here and it could branch off, if it's going down, 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 but over here to make it go up, then you have to go down this way. And you're just trying to create the best path possible. And it's super difficult, but really, really fun. And something that I think we would like even more if we just haven't had a chance to get it at this point. And something I really want to play on stream, because anyone could play it as long as you have that kind of map of the US.
That's right. It was really fun. It's got a cool, like, the boards where the map, and then, obviously you're kind of get hosed sometimes by the region it has to go into.
Yes.
And there's certain things that will occasionally allow you to break rules and things like that. But it's like, it's just a fun, difficult thing where you're trying to create these long routes if you can, and then maybe set yourself up for something else here that can then kind of, you start the second one over here, and then you hope that it hits into the town and then kind of creates and just all flows well. But of course, you're beholden to the cards that get flipped. With all great roll and rights, you're going to be limited by what you get, and you have to find a way to make it work. You have to be adaptable.
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing of board games, is constantly having to adapt to the situation that you're in, and like roll and rides are that to such an extreme, because it's like, I need this, 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 and you roll it, and you're like, didn't get that, okay, what am I going to do?
Now what do I do? Yeah.
And On Tour is another example of that. It's really, really great.
Really
Try it
well-produced.
out. Doing great. And that's number 10. Let's go on to number 9.
Blang. So number 9 is a Renegade game that's all about kind of putting together strings of numbers called Hex Roller.
Yes, indeed.
So this one is kind of like, I think, like a classic roll and write kind of Gancho and Clever, where it's just
no theme,
no real themes. It's just sort of numbers, and you're putting numbers in places.
The theme is numbers.
Yes. And in this one, you roll dice, and they kind of get separated by numbers, and so you'll have like a pool of like 5 dice with the number 7 or something like that. And if you choose that, then you're going to put 5 number 7s in a string. They all have to kind of touch, and you might make a string or a group of them, and you're sort of like trying to fill out different zones with a majority of a certain number, which will give you that many points.
Yes.
If you have a majority of this little area has
you have a bunch of different colored hexes. And whatever is the most prominent number in that hex, that's what that hex is worth. But the hex has to be completely filled.
Exactly.
Or else it's nothing.
Yeah, and so I think the lowest number is like, it goes to like 3 to 8 or something like that.
I believe so.
And then you can either do that, or you can create these trails from pre-printed numbers that are on the board, and if you make a trail all of that number that connect the two, then you get bonuses there.
So it'll be like a 7 over here, 7 over here. If you make a line of 7s from this printed 7 to this one, it'll be worth 7 points.
Yeah.
But you can't break that line at all. So it's, and there's one of those for 3, 4, 5, 6,
difficult.
and it's like the long ones are super hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
just really fun
super
to
hard.
balance those different things. And then also the dice that you're choosing, so you choose 2 each round. It's like a quick 7 round, something like that. You're hoping to make sure you're using different dice to create these like little runs. So you don't want to just use the high dice, because then you don't get this thing. But maybe that'll give me higher points in my zones. And so that does the great thing in a lot of roll and rights, where it pulls you in different directions.
Yes, because there's a number of different ways to score in the game. So it's like,
you want to do them all, but they kind of work against each other.
Exactly. Again, that's kind of good gameplay. It's like you have conflicting needs, and it's like it's very, very good. Especially like you like simple, it's kind of like just straight numbers games, nothing else, simple to teach. This is a great one, and it kind of flew under the radar. It came out at Origins, I think, this year. And this whole list is going to be relatively new, by the way. There's a lot of new games.
It's a newer genre, yeah.
It's a new thing, and so, but it's really, really fun, and it's just simple numbers puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
it
something
goes
that
over well. Like
yes.
it's done well with anyone we played it with. Everyone's like, I really like that. So
Yeah.
like, oh, cool.
It's just simple,
Good filler.
fun.
Put it in between stuff.
Yeah.
Hex
Good.
roller.
Hex
Number
roller. Renegade.
9.
Killing it. Love it.
Still right.
Let's do it.
I don't know why I got so intense right there.
So
The
intense.
coffee just hit my bloodstreams.
Woo!
Eh.
All right, number 8 is a game that we first played at Dice Tower Con 2018.
Yeah.
Now, this is a game, I still don't know if this is readily available in the US.
Don't think so.
We got our copy from someone else, but this is a game called Metro X.
Yes.
Metro X is a game where you are putting together a lot of roll and writes about putting together some kind of route system.
Yeah,
you know?
you're trying to complete stuff a lot of
Yeah,
times.
you know, exactly. Yeah. So this one, Metro X is about putting together a metro, an underground. You have the choice of 2 different ones. I think it's Osaka and Tokyo.
Yep.
And essentially it has this big string of
subway station.
A subway map, essentially, where it's like it stops here, then here, then here, then here, then here. And essentially you are trying to put in numbers. You're flipping over numbers and you're having to put those numbers in the different
You'll flip over a number and it allows you to fill in that many spaces. You put
That's
those little
what it is.
zeros for the most part, and you're just like, oh, I got 5 spaces down this line.
Exactly. And so you're trying to go through and basically fill in a route from start all the way to finish. And the routes sometimes are longer than other ones.
Sometimes they overlap with each other.
And the problem is if you have a route that comes across this way, because you know subway routes a lot of times multiple lines, like the red line or the purple line, will stop at the same stop, but then continue on somewhere else.
Yes.
So the thing is, if you make this route go through here like this, but then there's someone that comes through in the middle like this, if you break the sequence of it, you then I'm explaining this wrong. Sorry.
So it's this tricky thing is
How do I explain it? It's so hard to explain.
If we've like done route A,
Yes.
and then we have one more space before that point where they cross.
Yes.
And I draw a 4, I can only go to where they cross.
can't jump.
You
Yes.
can't jump over things that have already been filled in. So you're trying to like build them in such a way that you don't block out other routes and
Yes.
then kind of get stuck. You want to be as efficient as you can.
Yeah, you get stuck very, very often in this game because of the way they're constantly
skip
crossing each other.
things that have already been filled in.
And
for the
yeah,
most
and
part.
so it's you know, you a lot of times have to waste numbers because again, you only have 2 empty spots before you are crossing a path that's already
to
done.
stop.
So if you draw a 5, it's like, okay, you go 1, 2, and then you can't then skip to do 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult, very fun.
And you only have so many times you can work on each route.
Yes.
So it's like, and the routes are long. So you have to work on other routes that are going to fill in some of the spaces for your current route, but you hopefully do that in such a way that you don't end up burning spaces because each space is really precious.
Yeah.
And so it's a tough one. It is hard.
Super
and it's a
hard.
little hard to explain sometimes.
Yes, that game
It's the only
is
kind of downside of
very
Metro X.
difficult to explain.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's readily available in the U.S., which is unfortunate because I hope it gets picked up somewhere, some point.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great roll and write, despite my terrible explanation. I'm sorry. You will have seen pictures and stuff like that, so you will have
It
seen
makes
it.
sense.
But nonetheless, Metro X is a really great game and a game that I hope gets picked up because it's a super good, super difficult roll and write.
Yeah.
As most of them are, roll and writes suck in terms of they hurt your heart, and you know it's just how it goes. But that is Metro X. That is our number 8. Let's go on to number 7.
Let's do it. All right, so our number 7 is as difficult as Metro X is. This one is simple and quick.
It's so insanely simple.
It is a little roll and write called crisscross. In this, you have like a little 5x5 grid.
Yep.
And you roll 2 dice that have different symbols on all 6 faces.
It's like an X.
And what you got to do is an X and like Wolverine claws and a
Wolverine
Delta
claws.
symbol and stuff and Illuminati. I'm sure it's all a reference to things.
It's all Illuminati. Ryder, can you say Illuminati?
I've been listening to too much Death by Monsters, and that's the problem. Now everything comes back to the stonemasons. Everything. So you roll these 2 dice, and then you have to put in those 2 symbols next to each other somewhere in your grid. You don't have to like build off of adjacent to what you've built before, but just your 2 dice need to either be this way, orthogonally. And you're trying to fill out your grid. And what you want to do is in all of your rows and columns, you want to create as many symbols all together as you can.
In a row
or column as you can, and the more you have, the better. So if at the end of my column I have 2, and they have to be touching, like unbroken, if I have 2 little Wolverine claws, I'll get like 2 points. But if I get 3, I get 3 points. If I get 4, I get like 8 points. Oh my God, that's very
You get
exciting.
all 5, you get like 15 points.
Yeah,
It's
so
very
you get all these different points and stuff. And so it's all about that, but it's tricky because if you have really good columns, you're just focusing all on your columns, your
rows
rows
are
might be
suck.
all sorts of different things. So you have to try to make sure you're doing things that make sure that you have some matches going this way and this way. But that's all the game is.
Yes.
You just roll the dice. It goes very quickly. You fill in your little grid. If you can't play something, you just leave them blank.
Yeah.
And you just check out your rows and columns at the end. So you can play this game in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean,
Very quick.
It is the most, because you can even do it with just 2 dice. You know, it's
Totally.
like the symbols on the dice don't mean anything. You could just do it. It's a normal D6. And this game is like, there's a lot of people who told out that you can play this game with anybody, and that's usually not true. But this is a game that is so simple,
It's
so
kind of like
fast.
Sudoku vibes in a way, just because of the
Kind
grid.
of.
It doesn't play the same way, but it's just like it's something that's familiar enough. that
Yes.
I think people are like, oh,
And it
this
is
is cool. I get it.
So simple and so easy that it's just so easy to get to the table because you can play
can
with
fill it in
anybody.
between
You can play with
anything.
any amount of people. It is the most open game ever, and that's why it's on our list at all. And this high, it's so simple, but that's why because it's still thinky. It's still a little puzzle, but like it is just crazy easy.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Like I love that about it. That it's just can go in between any old thing. And it's just a good fun time. And hey, Knizia did it again. Crisscross.
Yeah.
Our number 7.
That's right. Let's move on to number 6. Alrighty, number 6 is going to be straight up Welcome to Dino World.
Welcome to Dino World.
Welcome to Dino World. Welcome. No, you can't get
You're
sued.
going to draw dinosaurs that don't look like anything like anatomical.
That's accurate.
But
So
that's
this is
fun.
a game that was on Kickstarter by Alley Cat Games. Welcome to Dino World, where essentially it's kind of like it doesn't play anything like Dinosaur Island, but you are building
That's
out
the
a
same, yeah.
dinosaur
Running a
amusement
dino
park.
park, yeah.
And the kind of a la Jurassic Park. But this is, we kind of agree on this, but I think, at least the ones that we've played, this is the most intensive roll and write that we have. And we'll talk about the one you think is most intensive.
yeah.
But this one, there's a lot
there.
going on.
Yeah.
A lot. Like this one's not heavy by any stretch of the imagination. None of them are heavy.
But for a roll and write,
It's big, man.
yeah.
It's thinky and it's tough. So basically, you
A lot
have a
of
little
things to pay
grid.
attention to.
Yeah, you have a little grid, and they're gonna be rolling out 3 dice, and depending on what comes up on the dice, you can do certain things. So if it's like a 1 or a 4 or a 6, you can do certain things. One thing you can do is you can draw in dinosaur pens. So depending on what dice you have, you can draw in certain different kinds of dinosaurs. If you
certain
only
dinosaurs.
have a 1, you can only draw in like a teeny little dinosaur. If you have like a 6 or a 7, you can draw like a Brachiosaurus or like a T-Rex, something massive. And then you draw them in your area, and each dinosaur takes up a certain amount of space. Some take up only like
different
two
shaped
little
pens.
grids. Some take up like 7 or 8. The cool thing is you can build the pens in any way you want.
right, yeah.
They don't
These
have
are
to be like
squares.
square.
Yeah.
So if you're like, ooh, I'm gonna make this T-Rex pen like wrap around this Triceratops pen because I just want to
you can just
tease
stare
the
down the
T-Rex.
teeth.
It's
Yeah,
like,
Triceratops.
I'm gonna eat you.
Give me you right now.
And so you can build it out, but again, you only have a grid, so you're having a hard time.
You're trying to maximize your space because you do not have a ton.
Exactly.
And the T-Rex and stuff take up a lot of room.
Take up a lot of
They're
space.
also valuable.
Not to mention, a lot of the dinosaurs need to have power to their cages because they have electric fences. So you have to put in generators.
Yeah, safety.
And those generators can fail. And then you also have to have pathways to the dinosaurs, or else how are people going to go see the
they
dinosaurs?
can't see them. Who cares?
And then there are like facilities that you can have. There's like 2 different kinds of facilities you can put in. They'll give
can
you
swap out from game to
Yeah,
game.
there's like 10 of them of each. You just randomly choose them, and those will give you points depending on what facilities are. And then on top of that, in between each player, there are going to be 3 visitors. And those visitors, like this visitor, you can get if you have like 4 Brachiosaurus pens. This one you can get if you have like 2 lookouts and 2 Compassaurus, or something like that. And so me and Mike are vying for these visitors because whoever gets the visitor first gets those points.
race to get 'em.
The other person doesn't. And so there is a ton going on in this game, and it is crazy hard. It's so difficult.
It's so fun though. It's really awesome.
It is so much fun though.
Yeah, and it's cool because you get to like draw your little dinos,
It
and
is
so it's
super
like
cute.
artistically fun and cute and stuff. And there's like a light starter mode and then danger mode. So it's cool
Danger
because
mode.
if you don't want to deal with like generators failing and how all that stuff works and dinos breaking out, you don't have to. You can start and like learn the game and then flip the switch to like radical mode. And then you're good from there on out. And when you do that, when you make that switch to danger mode, there's some stuff to think about.
It's tough.
It can be a bit agonizing.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a more involved roll and write, this honestly is probably the one for you. It's great. And then there's tons of variability with like all the cards and all the facilities. So like this is a great one, especially looking for one that's got more meat on its bones. Because this one, it's tough. Yeah, there's a lot to choose between. A lot.
So solid.
Welcome to Dinoworld is our number 6. And that's all I have to say about that.
Boom, 5 then, Forrest Gump. So number 5 is the first roll and write I ever played, and it was before I knew what a roll and write was, or what that was. And this game even predates the game that it's based off of for me and you playing, and that is Castles of Burgundy, the dice game.
That's one thing that's come out more and more and more is like roll and write versions of games that already exist. You'll see a couple more.
Yeah, you'll see a few more, and I think it's a smart thing if we're going to talk about, like, back up a bit and talk about it. It's people are looking for like a guarantee on their money. So they want to know, like, oh, I like Castles of Burgundy. I'm probably going to like a dice version of that game because I know there's a hook in there.
Well, it's the same reason why, like, oh, we're going to create a new Star Wars movie because people already like that universe.
Brand awareness.
Yeah, you know, it's like, it's the same thing. But
so I get that they did that. But Castle of Burgundy, we played the dice game well before we ever played Castle of Burgundy, before I knew what Castle of Burgundy was, before I knew what roll and rights were. It was just this fun game we played with a buddy of ours. And it was super cool because we're rolling these dice and you have to fill in the little things. And now that we've played and love Castles of Burgundy, it's cool. It's made that the dice game even more enjoyable because I'm like, you know what? This is a pretty good like representation of Castles of Burgundy.
It's definitely different, but it's got that Castle of Burgundy feel
Castles
to
of
it.
Burgundy-ish, yeah, which is cool. And you're trying to complete different areas. You're trying to get all of your animals or all of your things first. So there's like a lot of elements that are represented from the game. Then you have like the monks and stuff, which let you mess with the colors because you're rolling dice that have numbers and then colors, and that's going to dictate. The colors going to dictate kind of it's a building or it's animals or it's a castle.
Yeah.
And then the dice are the numbers you have to put in, and you have to certain things like mines can only take 3s and 4s. Ships can only take 5s and 6s.
And you also have to roll that color. So like one of the, obviously the mines are gray on the side. So you have to roll a gray, and then one of the 2 die also has to be a 3 or a 4,
so
or else you can't use that.
Unless you have a worker, and workers allow you to change what the number is. Or if you have monks, they allow you to change what the color of the die is.
So you have lots of mitigation. Yeah,
there's like some mitigation and stuff. So it's really fun, and that's what makes it kind of feel Castle of Burgundy-ish. Is in that Castle of Burgundy, you use your worker tiles to change the face of the die. And so like when I played Castle of Burgundy, I was like, man, that is a really solid thing that's a little bit different and a little bit familiar and has some fun stuff going on, and it just feels very Castles of Burgundy-ish.
And if you want Castles of Burgundy that you can put in your pocket, you don't want to play the Castle of Burgundy, the card game, because it's another
which is
small
also
Castle of Burgundy.
A great representation of Castle of Burgundy.
Exactly, but the problem with Castle of Burgundy, the card game, is it takes up a ton of space. This, it's a little sheet of paper.
Yeah.
We play it on the plane.
We play on the plane. We just roll the dice in the game cover. And
It's
we play
great.
We play it every flight we take.
Yeah.
Many games. So,
really, it's super good. It's a really great representation
it holds
of
up.
Castle of Burgundy.
And being an older roll and write, like it holds up really well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first one I ever played. It's number 5 on our list.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. But anyway, that is our number 5, Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Do give it a try, especially if you like Castles of Burgundy. Or want to find out a little bit more about Castle of Burgundy without going full bore, try that. It's really fun.
Absolutely.
See number 4.
Let's go on number 4. All right, number 4 is a new game. I actually picked this up at the exact same time that I picked up Hex Roller. And this is from Renegade Games as well. And this is based off another game and a game that we really like. And Mike really loves this game. And that is Lanterns, the dice game.
So good.
When we first heard, again, this is why they do this. When we first heard there was going to be a roll and write version of Lanterns,
I was like, give me that crap.
Love Lanterns, and we were like, whoa, really? Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. So this takes place, it's also thematically, one thing I love about Renegade is they a lot of times tie games that like are related to each other, they make them actually related to each other.
Extended story.
Yeah, it's like Flatline, the game Flatline, which is not a roll and write, takes place directly after the game Fuse.
Yes.
It's just great. It's cool. So this is after the Harvest Festival, and this is them celebrating. So this one you're crossing out fireworks, and so
you're trying to launch fireworks.
Yeah, you're trying to launch fireworks and party. It's great. So this one you're rolling dice, and again talking about games that feel similar to their original game, but are still very different. So in Lanterns, you're putting out tiles, and the tiles will have different lanterns on them, and whatever color lantern is pointing at the different people across the table, they will get that card. So if I put a tile out here, it has blue facing this way, Mary over here would get a blue lantern, Mike over here would get a white lantern, I would get a green one, and Jeff over here would get another blue one or something like that. This is kind of similar, where you're going to be rolling out dice, and then you put them in this little tray, and then you orient that tray however you want, and then whatever dice is pointing at people, they will then get to fill in that part on their little spot. But then there's like certain platforms and stuff that you can surround. There's certain things you can do to then give you like little bitty combos.
Yes.
And then you can then fill in other stuff, which might allow you to fill in other stuff. And you're essentially trying to create these shapes.
These pools,
these pools of fireworks that have been lit off that are certain shapes, like Tetris polyomino style shapes. So if I create one that's like a T, I then can grab one of those tiles and then put it over those, and that means those have all launched in the air, and there's a big T-shaped firework in the air, I suppose. So that way is very, very much like lanterns, where you're turning in cards to get those dedication tiles. In this case, you're crossing off spots to get the firework tiles. But again, it's whoever gets them first. They are worth more points.
Yeah.
And then they go down in descending order. So it feels like lanterns, but you were saying this, it feels almost thinkier than lanterns.
It is, because of the kind of roll and write nature, where I get yellow and I'm looking at this kind of field of these triangles, these different areas, and there's many yellow. So I can put it anywhere. And like, okay, well that's this half of this, and I really want to fill that in, because like you said, if I fill in both sides of this platform, I get to put another, I get to just cross off, one little triangle that's touching it, or do I want to get the little thing so I can use an Emperor's Gift? There's all these things, and then you're thinking about, I want to make it in the shape to put a firework down on my turn. If I'm the active player, I can pull down one of those fireworks. Yay, that's points. It's the main source of points. But also, there's this thing of the Emperor wants all these lanterns kind of together, but he doesn't want one big group. He doesn't want them all lumped together. So you need to make sure you have two groups where they don't ever touch, and they're both kind of equal size, because you only score the second biggest.
Yeah.
And so there's that, and then there's these boats that you ideally don't want to cover up, but you want to cover up around them, the four kind of adjacent spaces around. So it's a really kind of fun puzzle, where in lanterns, you don't get that puzzle part. You're trying to figure out how to get the cards you need to turn in things.
Yeah.
So I think Lanterns Dice actually goes a hair thinkier than lanterns, which is really cool.
Yeah, really is.
And it feels like a fun continuation from lanterns. Here's the next step from lanterns, which is really rad.
Yeah, it's super, super good. It's great. It's combo-y. It's pretty easy to teach. It's outstanding. It really, really is. Lanterns Dice is our number 4. Really, really great pickup. It's great. It's really good.
Indeed.
All right, let's go on number 3.
Yeah. Number 3 is
Can you hear us back there in the past? Hello?
Primitive technology sucks.
I know, they only have fiber optic. They don't even know what we got going on in the future. Welcome, we're the future's Murph.
We are the future's Murph. In the future, I have taken on a life of vigilante justice. We used our board game fame and celebrity. Well, I did. You didn't do much. But I became a superhero and Renaissance mad because I could fight. I'm like a Renaissance person with martial arts.
Exactly. He's gotten a lot of skills that can just download you with new information, and I have used that to stay pretty much the same. We're in our mid-60s now.
Yes.
We look really good because there's advanced de-aging technology out there. I actually get wrapped up in the snakeskins of an adolescent Burmese python once a week to stay young.
Yes, yes.
So it's worked quite well. But you know what? Us future Murphs, we're looking back, way back in the past, and into a top 10 we did.
Yes.
And we realized we made a mistake. We forgot an
We were so
entire
dumb
game.
in the past.
I know, we didn't know anything about
We
that.
forgot a game. We forgot a game that clearly should be on this list of top 10 rolling rights.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
I mean, we invented time travel later, so I feel like we made up for it, but
Yeah.
back then, what noobs.
Indeed.
What noobs.
So, this is our top, this is number 3.5.
3.5. This would have been slotted somewhere in there. This is a roll and write that's gone on to great fame and glory.
Yes.
And even sparked a civil war at one point.
Yeah.
That's Cartographers by Thunderwork Games.
Brand new game as the time of those old garbage people
Way
were
back
recording it. Yeah.
Back when there was only 4K.
New game, but a really, really great roll and write where you essentially have you have a map and you have different, essentially, areas of terrain.
Do you remember maps?
I know.
I remember when the game came out, I barely remember what maps were.
That's accurate,
Such a
yeah.
distance. But you're making maps.
Yeah, you're essentially making maps. You're cartographying
It's a new word from the future.
is
Don't
cool.
worry.
Don't worry
The map essentially. So there's different cards coming out, and you're putting out different types of terrains, like forests or like water
Right.
or different things like that. And the cool thing is the game takes place over 4 rounds, and it's spring, summer, fall, winter, which those still exist.
They only had 4 seasons back then.
Yeah.
We got the extra one now.
Yeah. Metal. The metal season.
Called Nuclear Winter.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing. It's cool. You're gonna
It
love
lasts a lot longer than the other ones, but we made it through. So, and the cool thing is each season has 2 scoring opportunities.
Yeah.
So this one might be like however many like waters you have next to like,
and then clumps of villages.
yeah, or like having like forests around the border of your map or something like that. The cool thing is you score both, and the next season you move on. So you have scoring things of A, B, C, and D. So in spring you're scoring A and B, but then you move on to summer and you're scoring B and C. So the cool thing is you're scoring everything twice, because once you get around to winter, you're going to score D and then A again. Mm-hmm. What's wrong? And so it's really cool because it makes you really think it through, and like makes you really plan for the future, because you know what's coming. You know that things are going to score multiple times. So if you don't do that well this round, you can probably come back to it the next round.
You can really like get ahead of it, so that things that are going to be in C and D, you can be playing the whole game for to really. There's a kind of a ramp up effect.
Yeah.
That like that comes back around to A, so that thing that in your first round you're like, well, I barely had anything built up, might be like the coolest.
Yeah,
thing.
it might be the dopest one, because you know it's going to come and you know you're going to score it last. But then in the decks, you're flipping over the cards, which tell you what kind of terrain you have to put in, stuff like that. There are also going to be like monsters that come in, and the cool thing with the monsters happens is everyone has to take their sheet and pass it to the left, and then that person gets to draw in where the monsters are.
And they'll make you lose points in a round and stuff, so you try to do things that are going to mess them up, and they have to try to surround the monsters
and switches
with other
back.
elements. Yeah.
It's very, very cool, very interesting. I mean, really, and it's set in the role player universe because it's by Thunderworks game, and so the art that's on the cards is like super cool, super beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and you're like making a map, and they end up kind of like looking cool. It's
really
really awesome. It's
yeah,
cool.
it's a very good game, and that what for some reason, we did a lot of peyote in the past, and we forgot it, and so
I'm just not quite as together as I used to be.
Yeah,
I
you're
look
not.
young, but I'm mentally very advanced. The bit
The
works.
thing is, he's been early onset Alzheimer's for like 40 years at this point.
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
delayed
not
that
even
if you
sure. He thought his name was Glenn for a week. And so, nonetheless, Card Harbor is really great. We're sorry we missed it back, but we've remedied this. And so, yeah. So that's Card Harbor.
So I'm getting a call.
You are getting a call.
Oh, it's Rodney. You know what's really cool? The iPhone 2045, they just implant them in your brain. So I'm going to take this off screen. Hey, Rodney, old Prime Minister Smith. How you doing, you son of a bitch? Where's my maple syrup?
Now he's gone. You want to know what the Powerball number was for this week that you're in right now? It's 426.
We said we wouldn't meddle with the past.
Oh, damn it. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming.
So number 3 is a roll and write in which you are trying to build a network of railroads and highways. It is called Railroad Ink.
Yes, you were doing
with
that with
ink. 'Cause
ink.
You're
I
writing
know.
with
I love
a
it.
marker.
Hilarious.
And markers have ink. And this is by Simon, and this game is just really cool. So in this game, you're going to roll 4 dice, and then everyone that's playing the game is going to use those 4 dice, and they have to put them into this grid that's going to be connecting to the outer edge, and you're trying to build a continual network of these railroads and highways that have stations and stuff. So you want to build one that gets to many different exits all around the board.
The exits are on the outside.
Yeah, but the tricky part is that you do have railroads and you have highways, which you can't just like blend them together without using a station, which
Train
allows
switches
you to
over from tracks to
switch,
wheels,
yeah,
keeps on
without,
going.
without some sort of intermediary thing. And there are these stations that allow you to do that. So it's a really kind of classic. You roll these 4 dice, all 4 have to go somewhere into your thing, and they can go way off. You're like, I don't want to mess them up, put it way off to the side and figure it out later. You can totally do that, but you only have a few rounds to play, so you want to cover as much ground as you can.
Yeah.
And you have all the edges are either railroads or highway entrances and exits, and they have to match to go out, and that's how you ultimately get a lot of your points, is if you have networks that touch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different stations, you'll look and you'll get points for that. But you're also driven toward the middle because the 9 centermost spaces, you get a point for every one of those filled. But the problem is, that's far away from the edges where all the exits are.
It's true.
You know?
So you gotta try to like start over here to go over to here. Yeah,
and you're also trying to create long stretches of only railroad or long stretches of only highway because you get a point for your longest railroad and your longest highway. But again, you're beholden to the dice. I mean, this one feels very swingy in terms of confidence to utter despair based on one die roll. Because you're like, I need a highway that turns. And you get straight railroad, turn railroad, T railroad, one straight station. You're like, I got all, I don't need any of those. I just need one turning highway.
At the end of the game, you lose 1 point for every just dead end. Like in the middle of your
doesn't
track. If
get
it goes
to
like
the edge or something.
It's just boom, and there's nothing that it connects to, that's a negative 1 point.
So you want to limit that, but you might have to have some of those.
It's so hard. This brutal. Game is brutal. Because eventually, it's like in the beginning, it's open, but like once you get to like the later rounds,
like, I need very specific dice.
I need specific rolls, and you will never get what you need. And then you're just like, how am I going to make this work? And it's so much fun.
It's fun, and then they even have the cool thing where there's a couple different versions, and the base of both the two, the red and the blue, are the same, but then they have a little mini expansion where you can, on the blue one that we have, you can play with a river. Or you play with a lake, and the lake has fairies, and you have to create like a lake in the middle somewhere. Or you can create this river that's trying to run through, but that also might block roads and things. So if you want to add challenge,
harder. I'm just like, why do you make it harder? Yourself? Yeah. And that's what's cool. It's like you can make it kind of simpler, or you can make it harder. My main takeaway with this one, or main drawback for this one, I feel like it's not that complicated, but for some reason I always find it harder to explain to people.
It's hard to explain the concept, and we might not have done it well here, of like you want to get to multiple exits in one thing. You're like, well, if you have a station, yes, it changed from a railroad to a highway, but it's still part of the same network. And so they're like, networks
and
is
that's
TV,
one thing I'll say about roll and writes. Some of them, despite being relatively simple, can be hard to explain. Like, which early on I said, like, one thing I like about the games is they tend to be pretty accessible, and that's always true for the most part, but it's like at the same time, they sometimes can be they're just weird sometimes, and that's just how it is.
Because they create limitations in a lot of ways. Like roll and writes, I think, thrive on limiting you to certain options. Yeah. And so explaining like why sometimes you can do this and other times you can't can be tricky.
Yes.
And like Railroad Inc. and moving on forward, like a lot of the ones that we really like are ones on the more complicated for a roll and write side.
And definitely the brutal side,
Yeah. And so it's like that comes with some additional rules explanations. But like Railroad Inc., I play backstage all the time. I teach new people all the time. During plays and stuff, and like they can always get it. And usually once you start playing, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, it's getting the start, but nonetheless, number 3, so good. Railroad Inc. is incredibly good.
Let's get into number 2.
Utah. Give me 2.
Boom.
All right, number 2 is a very new. You played this game a little bit ago, but we just got this game, and it's already number 2. And I know we just got it, but like we've played it a ton. And I honestly think this may make a run for number 1 eventually. Not there yet, but it's so good. And that is Fleet the Dice game. Praise be to Brant.
Bam.
Brant is Brant. Lovely man. Has been pushing this game on every single person. I'm sure he does it at the grocery store. I'm sure he does it at church. Yeah. He's just like, okay, Pastor, we get it, but like,
but also
talking about
fishing.
So Fleet the Dice game is a game where you have a fleet of ships, and essentially you're gonna be rolling out these different.
It's based off of fleet.
Yeah, based off of fleet, exactly. And essentially you are rolling out these dice and then filling in different areas on your play. You have 2 different sheets, and
there's like 2 halves each round. There's like a
2
fishing half.
There's like
round on the water and in town.
Well, you'll be rolling out these different dice that'll have like shrimp or swordfish or something like that on there.
Oysters,
and you're filling in these bubbles. Like the oyster one has bubbles, and then everyone else. And the more you fill in, if you fill in enough, you eventually can get a fishing license for that kind of fish, and then also get a fishing boat for that kind of fish. So now I have a shrimp boat. Now I got a swordfish boat. Now I got a carp boat. And so then when eventually we come to the fishing phase, the boats that you have then can catch fish, and you'll get points for catching fish. And so there's that whole part, and then there's a whole second part where there's a harbor, where there's a market, where there's
you got a wharf. You're trying to basically
a bunch of different
get these different buildings, which might give you powers or just straight points at the end of the game.
Yes.
They're like little things. There's a market where you can, based on however many fish you've caught, you get money.
A certain amount of money.
And this game always comes down to getting money to get those combos.
This game is combo-tacular.
So every time you get money, money never goes away. It's just a thing that you kind of continually
big track,
accumulate. And if I get 3 money, I get to cross off 3 of the little money symbols. And then along that track, there are a bunch of stars. Every time you cross off a star, you get to bubble in something anywhere.
Anything you want.
So that means, I can put another bubble on my shrimp boat. So maybe I can get a second shrimp boat.
Second shrimp
or
boat.
I can work on this this harbor thing. I'm gonna try to get a king crab boat. Or I can do this thing which gives me maybe an extra fishing action. So, and there's a lot of those stars. So, I mean, it all comes down to just, I got these dice, but they gave me some income, which gave me this, which gave me a star, which gave me a bubble over here, that allowed me to get a license over here, which gave me this bonus right there, and then I launched a boat. And I do all the, and like, you can put together some crazy combos
Yes,
of
it
stuff.
is incredible.
It's awesome.
It's so much fun. Brand, I mean, really, could not talk this game up enough. Because
There
Mike
is
got
no
to play it
more
a while ago.
satisfying roll and write than Fleet.
Yes, and on top of that, we talk about how much we love brutal games. This one actually isn't that brutal because it's so combo-tastic. You can get what you want done. It's just about outplaying everybody.
Yeah,
But
this
it
is a
is
lot you wanna
so
do.
much fun to just try and figure out what things you want to do. Because again, all the different boats, all
They
the
have
different boat
different powers
licenses
and things.
give you powers, which allow you to, now it's like every time I launch a boat, I get 2 coins. Okay, I can launch this boat, which will give you 2 coins. So now you put the coins over here, fill in a star, and then I can put those over here to get another boat. I can put over
me
here to
2
get this.
coins. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, it just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. But it's all pretty self-explanatory and so pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then it just is so incredibly satisfying. That this is a game that's relatively new. We played it a bunch of times, but like
good.
it already was like poof, like straight up to the top. It is incredible, and I think it'll eventually take #1. We'll see.
It's
you
right
know?
up there. It's incredibly fun. It's one of the bigger roll and writes.
Yes.
It
two-
takes
two
a little
sheets
while
of paper,
to do.
yeah, like-
it feels like a full board game experience. Some roll and writes feel kind of like these little filler things, which is not a problem.
No.
But this one like just feels like a full game experience.
one,
It's going
I
to be
would
another
say-
45 minutes. This and like Lanterns and stuff are like longer games.
Yeah, like Welcome to Dinoworld. That's you afterwards. You're like, all right, let's play a filler. You know, it's
Yeah,
like, but this is one
which is
kind of
cool.
like that. You're like, this isn't a filler. This is a game. You know.
Yeah, which is really awesome. It's so fun.
It's-
Big ups to Brant for
Oh,
showing
it's
us. And he
incredible.
kept saying, I played it, a 4-player game, and all of us who came away were like, "You're right, dude. That was a really cool game."
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, "I told you, man." And so I told him right then, I was like, "I'm gonna get this game." He's just
Yep.
like, "Hey, man, another one bites the dust. Here we go."
That's right, baby.
So it's super cool. So thank you, Brant, for showing me that, so I could show you that. And Fleet is already #2, and it's brand new.
Brand new.
Brand new,
So these guys saying, oh, it's so good.
But
All
there's
right.
still one.
There's still one more that takes the cake.
Still one.
Most of you probably already know what it is, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Let's do it.
So #1 is the only one we haven't talked about. It's Welcome to. Oh
It's
man,
so good. It's just the best.
it's so good. I as good and as much as we talked about Fleet and stuff, like Welcome to has been around longer. It's had staying power. I've played this so much. I've played with people that love it, and now there's more stuff.
Yes.
And there's newer things that kind of like change a little bit. So now we got this new blood with Welcome to. So Welcome to is a game where you
It didn't even need it.
no, it
You know what I
didn't,
mean?
really didn't,
Like,
but it's
it
just
really
fun.
didn't, and it's still, yeah.
So Welcome to is a game where you are basically building out a suburb. You have 3 streets, and what you're trying to do
Cool
is you're trying
theme,
to
man.
but it works.
It works.
Though.
No,
And it shouldn't.
It's just the most boring theme, but it totally works. I love it. Yeah.
Man. It's just
I
peak
love it.
white people, and it's great. And so you're trying to build out these 3 streets, and you have to basically number your houses so people know where to live.
Hey, man.
And so
I live in
in
number
this
13,
one, you're
you know?
always going to flip over 3 cards. It's a flip and fill, and you have 3 options, and they just have numbers on there from 1 to 15. And the rules are on any one of your 3 streets, you cannot break the order of the numbers. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
You always have to go in
You have to
ascending
go
order.
1, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. You have to go ascending, right? With a couple of exceptions, because as you flip over numbers, the numbers that were there the round before have these like little iconography that have like little powers and things attached to them,
On the
or different
backside of them.
areas that you can work on to kind of shape the personality of your suburb. And so every time there's 3 options, it's just simply everyone that's playing chooses one of those 3.
Yeah.
You choose the number that has the power associated with it, and then we move on and we go and go and
Yeah.
go. But they have things like some of the houses on the 3 streets have pools in the backyard. Now those aren't pools yet, they're planned
They can be
pools.
pools.
But if you flip over a number and you have a pool there and you put it into a house, that number into a house has a pool behind it, you get to circle that and then you get to cross off one of the things on the pool track.
Did I tell you that Shay got all pools?
Did he really?
He got all of it. He didn't do anything else. But
love
our good
it.
friend Shay, we always talk about going all pools.
Pools, I always say, and I fall for it every time, is a fool's errand.
Yeah.
It's high risk, but
He
but
did it all.
there's little rewards sometimes.
Shebe, love you.
I love
You
it.
did the
That's
best.
awesome.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
can go all pools. But another thing you can do is there's things with landscaping. So whatever street 1, 2, or 3 that you put your number in, if it has landscaping, you get to cross off
Yeah.
one of the things and you
Have a
improve your
nice park.
landscaping.
Yeah.
And if you just pull the art off of it, it's just mechanical tracks and things.
Yeah.
But it really does work because I get excited like, oh, I want to try to leave this pool space open for when a pool comes
Mm-hmm.
up. Hopefully it does, but it may not ever. You might have pools, but never with numbers you
Yeah.
need. You might have numbers and you don't have the pools you need, you know,
Yeah.
and things like that. And so there's all this, and you can create groups of houses with fences. You want to try to complete full streets and stuff.
You have the schematics that you're going
There's
for.
different
so,
schematics
like,
to
yeah.
make these groups, you know, these kind of city planning elements. It's just, there's a lot of really fun things to like, ooh, I wonder how do I want, which of these 3 numbers do I want? And you're agonizing because the numbers that are 1 and 15, there's fewer cards of those. There's more 6, 7s, and 8s.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of be careful with when you put your numbers down. There's just a lot to think about. And that was before they ever expanded it, where they add like a little Halloween theme, which has like ghosts and candy corns, or a Christmas theme where you're trying to make numbers 1, 2, 3,
Or a
4
weird
going down the
zombie
street.
theme where there's bullets and stuff,
Zombies.
yeah.
You know, and so now you have these fun extra flavors, and it's one of the bigger roll and writes. It's one of the deeper roll and writes. There's a lot to think about. And so it's a bit of a tougher teach, but once people get going with it, this game has gone over huge with people.
And it's also an infinite game. You
incredible.
can play this. We played on stream.
Yes, there's
and
completely
it's
player
just
unlimited.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's just so fun. Fleet is right up there with it already, but like Welcome 2, we've had it for a year plus and like have gotten a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah, it's fun.
and it's not.
We've gone
going
through all
anywhere.
those sheets of paper. We have to laminate them at this
Yeah.
point because we're out. Well, I guess we have the expansion ones, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the
it's
dry
like,
erase things, which was a smart move because people
Yeah.
have been playing it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they've run out of their paper.
yeah,
and
the last
stuff.
Kickstarter did like 100 and something thousand. I mean, it's amazing. It's
It's
outstanding.
just
It's outstanding
so
game.
fun, and like I just like the suburb theme. I think it's fun and interesting, and you get a lot of agony with those cards and the numbers, and then the associated powers. And there's little things that allow you to mitigate the numbers sometimes. But you really are. It's like you have 3 options.
You gotta plan your sub.
But
man.
none of those options might be great, and you've got to put down a number if you can. You have to keep working on the suburb. There's no option not to.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of fun with you don't quite know when the game's going to end.
Yeah.
Because it could be that someone the cards don't work, they can't place a number, and it ends the game quicker than you thought. You're like, oh, I really needed like 2 more turns
Yeah.
to get this last thing and get this track up here, and my third street's horrible, and there's just weeds everywhere. I didn't work on the landscaping at all.
It's true. Yeah,
It's good.
It's outstanding. It's incredible. It's been our #1 basically since the beginning, and it's so good. If you haven't played Welcome 2 yet, give it a shot. It's incredible.
Yeah.
If you like roll and writes.
Indeed.
Alrighty, well that is our top 10. How did we do? Let us know down in the comments what your top 10 roll and writes are. If there's anything we missed, is there anything you agree with? There's definitely some on here. And we had a pretty big list of roll and writes.
Always hunting. Yeah,
Yes, and there's
on.
definitely some that we have that just didn't make the list, you know, and we love roll and writes to death. I think it's a really, really great mechanic that I hope continues, you know, and we're getting kind of these bigger roll and writes. I'm excited about that.
Yep.
Again, a lot of these games are new because it caught on the last couple of years, so it's like I'm excited to see where it goes. You know, it's just very, very excited.
Yeah.
So down in the comments, let us know what you think about this list and what you think about roll and writes in general, because it is kind of a divisive, divisive genre.
Yeah. So I got nothing else to add. You covered all of it. I was like, I'm going to say this. You just said that. I'm going to say that. You just said that.
Well, make
you
sure
said.
while you're down there to give this video a thumbs up and share it. Thumbs up help a lot. Write a comment, that helps a lot. And then, of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're the brothers, Murph. We do this kind of stuff very, very often.
Wow.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we will see you all in the next top 10. If you have a top 10 you want to see us cover, throw that down in the comments as well.
We love doing that.
And we'll try to do that next time. But that was our top 10 roll and writes. I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
And we are...
Damn.
Let's just leave right there. He said, I'm Nick. Yeah. Is that me?
Yeah, you're getting
I'm getting a call. Sorry, we got the old iPhone 2045 up in here. It's Rodney, by the way. I'm going to take this off screen.
Okay.
All right.
You gotta do it again. Do it again.
Oh, I'm getting a call. Sorry about it. It's Rodney. I'm gonna take it off. It's the old new iPhone they have implanted in the brains in 2045. It's pretty sweet. So I don't know how to get into the call.
How are you ringing with your mouth?
Because it's in my body, so that's how you know you're getting a call. It just makes your mouth go that sound.
So you're in the middle of a sentence. You're just like, yes, rah. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a call. It's as disruptive as when a phone buzzes your wrist.
All right,
now.
go for it again.
All right.